we making a video? I want to be a part of the video.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Tyler and Ashley. This is actually a requested video by this viewer that left a comment on our video when we came back from Florida to Virginia. Just to give you guys a little background if you're new to the channel, we previously lived in Virginia, worked here professionally for about 8 years, and decided that we were going to move to Florida. We moved to the Gulf side of Florida, about an hour west of Orlando. Lived there for a year, decided it wasn't for us, and now we are back in Virginia. We specifically are in the Hampton Roads area and going to do a compare and contrast video between what we liked and disliked about both Florida and Virginia. So, you want to start us off?
So, like Ashley was saying, her and I both, actually Ashley's from Virginia. I'm not completely from Virginia, but I moved here when I started high school, my freshman year, and went to school here, worked here for several years, and we decided to go to Florida. And I'm sure people are wondering, like, so you up and moved your entire life to Florida and then lived there for 11 months and decided you were going to move back. So there was definitely some things about Florida that we weren't a huge fan of, and I think one of the biggest things that helped like make us change our mind and want to move back was the retirement system for law enforcement. And Florida is working on doing things for the law enforcement down there. I mean, they got a huge pay raise while I was there, but their retirement's not great. In Virginia, you can go at age 50. So I started when I was young enough that by the time I'm 50, I'll have 25 years. And in Florida, I was starting over essentially, and I don't think I would have been able to go until I was 60. So that's another 10 years of work that I did not have to do, and that's kind of a no-brainer. The retirement in Virginia is just good. Like, there's a lot of good benefits, and that was one of the main reasons, I would say.
Just piggybacking off of that, we had a really hard time with jobs. I was finding it really hard to find a job that paid more than $12 to $15 an hour, and it was very much reflective on the area that we were in, but I was also looking kind of vastly. The biggest thing we've stated before in our videos in Florida is the healthcare system, law enforcement, linemen, very niche type jobs, and that unfortunately was not one of the things that I was looking for. So it did make it really difficult, and right now just the job market, even now that I've come back to Virginia, is extremely difficult to get into. As much as they say that all these signs around that are hiring, if you're looking for something that's not $15 an hour job, then you're in a very competitive market. And just between both states, I have to say that the job market is really difficult.
Yeah, I think that the area in Florida that we were living, of course, definitely played a role with the type of job Ashley was trying to get. I'm sure if we were to have moved to a different part of Florida, she would have definitely been able to get a job. I would say that another one of our reasons that we weren't a huge fan of Florida was the seasons. Ashley and I are huge lovers of Halloween. I really enjoy, like, when Halloween comes around, I like the feeling of it. And in Virginia, like, once it starts turning fall, like, it smells differently, and just the temperature changes, and you can put your flannels on and, you know, your hoodies and sit by the fire, and Halloween just has a spooky feel. Well, in Florida on Halloween, it was like...
Feels exactly the same as any other time of year.
It was kind of depressing. Like, we took Oakley and she saw the little barn animals, and it just didn't feel like Halloween. It was like...
They had corn, they had some like animals, they had like a little festival thing going on, but when it's 90 degrees outside and you're sitting there just dying in the heat, it does not feel like fall Halloween time at all. So that was something that was really sad for us.
Yeah, like
we just really missed the seasons.
It was a shock, and I like Christmas too. I like I like when it snows. I don't love like the aftermath of the snow. And I think we talked about in one of our first videos when we were moving to Florida, we were like, we hate the cold. not a huge like lover of the cold, but I like when it snows. You know, I like when it feels like Christmas.
You really don't know that you miss something until you absolutely don't have it. And there were a couple days where it was very chilly in Florida that we were wearing sweatshirts and stuff, but it never got seriously cold.
But we knew it wasn't gonna snow. Like there was no way it was gonna snow. You kind of have to pick and choose what you're after, and that's just, you know, one of the things that we missed. So
we also really love Virginia just for the fact that you have so much to offer from one state. So we, like Tyler said, we live closer to the beach. We maybe a 20-30 minute drive from Virginia Beach oceanfront, and then we can drive maybe 2-3 hours west and you're in the mountains. So it's a whole lot of different views. You have farmland, city, oceans, mountains, greenery, just, I mean, vast, wide open spaces, thick, dense forest, and it's so much to offer from one state. You could do almost anything in Virginia and never have to leave your actual state. So having that as an option, vast array of just different views and options living in a state like Virginia is really fun.
yeah, you can be at the beach one day, you can be in the mountains another day, and in the wintertime, like you can go snowboarding or skiing. Of course, you're never gonna be able to go snowboarding in Florida. Also the history, like Virginia has so much history to offer. Florida is not that old of a state. So the history in Florida, like in St. Augustine, that was pretty cool, but
Virginia was one of the original states, so you cannot get much older with American history. Oakley wants to be in the video. You can't get a whole lot better with American history than living in one of the 13 original colony states. So
we have Williamsburg.
Really cool.
We can get to Williamsburg in like 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Depending on traffic. We can get to Williamsburg. We can get to Busch Gardens. We can get to DC in like 4 hours. So like there's a lot that Virginia has to offer that Florida Florida is growing, and one day Florida might be like, it still is a good state. It just wasn't for us at the time. So another big thing that we were not a huge fan of that we noticed when we got to Florida, like from the very beginning, was the traffic and the lack of driving skills. I've never almost gotten into an accident so many times. Like people were running red lights like crazy. And here in this city, we have like these cameras and stuff, so it really like cuts back on people doing that, so it takes a picture of your license plate. But there, the elderly drivers, the uninsured motorists, which we'll talk about the insurance too.
And the people that come from so many different states, like all the states have different driving laws, all the states have different just
driving types,
road rage, like slow drivers, all that different stuff. They all just accumulate in Florida, and unfortunately we don't live in a small city. We live in a city where we have plenty of traffic, but the roadways are built to accommodate that kind of traffic. And the primary places that we were driving in Florida, we drove from one side of the state to the other and never got on an interstate, whereas we have probably 5 different interstates that we could hop on and go any direction in Virginia just from our house.
Yeah, the interstates, like even the main interstates, like going to Orlando, or when we drove all the way to Miami, like that, the interstates are not great. Like you would think with that many people that are moving to Florida every day, like they would really work on their roadways. I don't know, the highways in Virginia are so much better. And when we would drive from our town to Orlando, there would be like 0 exits. Like if you had to use the bathroom, there was nowhere to like pull off. There was no exits. If I jumped on the interstate out here, there's like an exit every like mile. So I don't know, that was just really interesting. And then, like I was saying, people, the uninsured motorists, like that took our insurance because there's so many uninsured motorists. Our insurance there for driving was ridiculous. It over doubled actually. So yeah, that sucked big time. So, we've talked about a lot of negative things about Florida, comparing it to Virginia, and clearly I would say that we would prefer Virginia. That's clearly why we moved back to Virginia. But, Ashley and I talked about it, and one day we might be willing to move back to Florida, like we haven't completely cut that away because there was a lot of things about Florida that we really liked. Ashley's parents live in Florida, her grandparents live in Florida. Like, I'm excited to go back and visit for sure. But when you're working every day, it's just not, you get into this mindset of like you're on vacation, and then when you get down there, it's just not the same feeling. So, you know, we talked about one day maybe doing the snowbird thing, or because the properties, there's areas in Florida where property is super cheap, and, you know, maybe that's something that we'll do one day. So
we just hope that this kind of narrows it down a little bit for you guys. A lot of the big perks about Florida are no taxes on your retirement, and they have a lot of 55 and older communities, so you can really build a strong, good community that are people of your own age, your own interests. They have a whole lot of programs that are to get the older community active, and just different options as far as transportation and healthcare is really good down there for the older community. So it's something that is very set up. It's set up very well for people that are retired, and unfortunately we are not. So that is probably the biggest thing that was just not the hook that we really needed to be able to stay in Florida.
for Ashley and I, it was hard for us moving to Florida because we were so connected here with us, with our jobs. And Ashley lived, I mean, she's born and raised here, and I've lived here since I was in high school. I've got a lot of friends here, I've got a lot of stories here, and I just kind of missed it, you know? So like, if you're thinking about moving to Florida, or you're just thinking about moving out of the state that you're in, and you're established there, if you're willing to give it all up for like a fresh start, and you're able to do that, you know, like I thought I was going to be able to do it. I thought I could just give it like everything that I had worked for and give it up and move to another state, and it was just really hard, you know. So that might have changed our outlook a little bit as well, you know, if we would have moved to Florida and we were able to just push all the stuff that we had created and all of our friends over into a box and just try not to think about it. But it was just really hard for us.
Again, we hope that this just gives you guys a little bit of perspective of some of the positives, negatives of both states. We are excited to have shared Florida with you and now show you a lot of what we enjoy and love about Virginia. We hope that you are enjoying Oakley's little adventures. We love making those for you, and you guys seem to really like that as well. So we will keep up with those as well. And just stay with us as we continue with this journey, and we will keep you guys updated. But thank you so much for the comments. If you would like to see something specific, then let us know. We will try our very best to make that happen. But thank you guys so much for watching. If this was helpful to you, hit that subscribe button and let us know. Thanks, guys. Bye.
See you guys. Oakley, do you have anything else to say? It's all yours.
Oakley, you have the floor. What would you like to say? Share with the people.
Those were very encouraging words.